shonga chuji anji podrana, tuksen sanji ganji ngonyit, razame shurga muzame stunza bar, sawe lama namla sorade, kirbe sanje chua shikdani, nyamba drupa shomla tanda, sanjune manere dambo jansu, loto jamso shabla sorade, lame chosme janso tojeda, shirke kere pama shumla chi, shenri tsinga kiawe nyukuye, tanda trupa tanchina trupara ho, ranjin lame drambe kajela, kosme charo shitru latsoher, Rale jana nepre tojoni, toyo irmi jiwara shinji lo.
Everybody, raise bodhicitta to benefit countless suffering sentient beings. To sacred bodhicitta, the precious and excellent mind, where it is not, may it arise. Where it is, may it never decline, consistently growing, rising higher and higher. That all beings may have happiness and all the causes of happiness. That they may be free from suffering and all the causes of suffering. That they may never be separated from the great happiness, devoid of suffering, and forever dwell in the great equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. And really, raise bodhicitta from the depths of your heart as best as you can. And we carry on these incredible teachings of Togme Zampo, the 37 practices of a bodhisattva. And we're talking about bodhicitta over here. Last week we spoke about relative and absolute bodhicitta. And it's important that we treat all beings as our parents. We're in this situation because we have what we have now, because of cause and effect. And nothing happens without a cause. We've had lifetimes and lifetimes of reincarnation. In all those lifetimes of reincarnation, we haven't attained liberation. Been revolving around in the suffering of samsara, higher and lower levels or realms. And so we really aspire, and as best as we can practice, put into action the practice of bodhicitta. And it's very important to really check, are you really practicing bodhicitta? Because if you're not really practicing the Mahayana, or the Great Perfection, or the Vajrayana. And I thought I would start with the 7 points in training of cause and effect for attaining bodhicitta. So even attaining bodhicitta has its causes and its effects. There's 6 causes to get one result, the result of this bodhicitta. The first is to regard all sentient beings as our mothers. And because we've been revolving around in samsara for countless lifetimes, through all of those lifetimes, at least once every sentient being has been our mother. And so, treat every single sentient being as if they're your mother. Whenever you meet somebody new, you can either shake their hand and think, wow, they're just like a lotus. Or they can think, hello, Mom. Thank you so much for everything you've done for me. At some stage, you gave me great love and great kindness. The second is to remember the kindness of others. Okay, again, If every single sentient being has been your parent, your mother, they've shown you great kindness. What did she do for us? And I know sometimes some people, they don't have that relationship with their mother. They had a hard time, but at least there was somebody that raised them, fed them, gave them education. So if you have that relationship with your mother, that you're not that close, then use those people that helped you, that you are close to. So your mother, generally for people, one, she gave us this flesh and blood. Without our mother, we wouldn't have this flesh and blood. Gave us food, cleaned our nappies, wiped our bum how many times? Selflessly did so many things for us, drove around like a taxi for many people, cared for us, protected us. Many mothers would put their life in front of their child. They educated us or worked hard so that we can get an education. They did whatever they could with their heart and soul. They had sleepless nights, sometimes not sleeping much at all. They gave us great, great, great sacrifice for us. Even for our benefit, became old. In some ways, maybe even changed their beauty, gave up their old beauty for a different beauty. So really, if you can, imagine everybody as your mother and that great gratitude towards them and great respect. So the third is have a sense of gratitude for their kindness. We all have this capacity to practice kindness, to have kindness and to have love. Irrespective of what they've done to us. Remember, our practice doesn't leave sentient beings. To attain enlightenment, we have to do this through sentient beings. Through sentient beings, we receive love and kindness. We receive help. We're interdependent with them. Through sentient beings, we get the opportunity to practice. They test our patience. They test our forbearance. They cheat us. Give us all of these opportunities to practice. So have great gratitude towards sentient beings. Have love and wishing for beings to have happiness. Towards all our mothers of all our lifetimes. This is our way to show our gratitude towards them. To repay them for their great kindness, their immense kindness. Broaden our mind. Don't just think of those people that are our friends. So really broaden our mind to benefit all sentient beings. And have compassion, loving kindness. Wish for them to be free from their suffering. We see that they're helpless. They don't understand cause and effect. They don't understand impermanence. If they do, they don't live accordingly. They don't have a teacher. Because they don't have a teacher, nobody teaches them this. And so they float around in samsara, creating all sorts of karma, perpetuating their suffering. So continuously aspire, again as we said, it's so important, aspire to that we may realize bodhicitta, become bodhisattvas and benefit them, that we have those boundless qualities, just as we mentioned in the King of Aspiration prayers. That whoever we encounter, that we treat them with love, that we treat them with kindness. We rejoice in any of their happinesses. And then take on, in the sixth, is to take on increased responsibility, to do our best to benefit, to rescue sentient beings, to tell them, to teach them about cause and effect, how to improve, to create the causes for happiness, how to no longer follow and chase after and pursue and get involved in all of those negative causes, the causes that cause suffering. Change their way of thinking. They've all been so kind to us. So now, this is our great opportunity to repay that kindness as best as we can. Just like children who don't know what to do. If we don't help them, who's going to help them? So I really have this heartfelt responsibility to go and help them. And so we carry on today with more regarding the practice. And this mind of ours, the mind, from the mind it becomes action of our speech and our body. But the mind is like a signal that commands the body, like maybe is the body and the brain express, or the modes of expression, but it comes from our mind. From our mind, the brain then instructs the body or the speech how to express itself. Maybe like a television set. The television set has the picture. Through the television set, we see the picture, we see the movie, we see the TV show. But the show doesn't come from the TV set. It comes from the signal. Without the signal, the TV wouldn't be playing the program. Just the same as the body and the brain wouldn't be showing our program without the signal of our mind. Without our mind. We practice. So we really wish, as we said, that we spoke about relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta last week. And with relative bodhicitta, this is where we're subject to cause and effect. And ultimately, we realize emptiness, this illusory nature of I. And in cause and effect, in the relative, this is what Buddha taught. He said, abandon negativity, practice positivity. And how do we do this? By transforming our mind. We transform these energies as they arise. Just like the iron, the metal. From the metal, it doesn't have negativity until we make the knife or we make the mandala. Depends on how we use it, but in essence, it's neutral. And count. If you do, make a practice. Spend one day with black stones and white stones, purple stones and yellow stones. For every purple stone, one for every positive thought. A yellow stone, one for every negative thought. See how many negative thoughts, how many positive thoughts you have in a day. Might be surprised.
So the teacher teaches us how to observe this.
Which are thoughts to adapt and which ones to let go of. So important is our motivation to liberate those negative thoughts. To let go of these thoughts. There's a story of there's in India, and there was a thief. And he stole many, many, many things. And he really, after a while, he realized his wrongs, the folly of his ways. And he went to a great master. He said, can you help me? I really want to attain liberation, enlightenment. I've done many serious things in my life. And the master said, yes, of course. He said, what are you good at? And he said, actually, I'm not very good at anything. The master thought, surely you must be good at something. And he said, no, not really. So the master said, what did you do for a living? And he said, well, actually I was a thief. So the master said, well, then you were good at stealing, weren't you? He said, yes, I was very good at stealing. So the teacher told him, okay, steal every arising thought. And so he practiced, this is the way he practiced. And he attained enlightenment. So let go of all of these discriminatory thoughts. All of these afflictive emotions. All of these boundaries, all of these discriminations, who creates them? Who creates the most of it? These humans. We create these borders. Don't cross the line. Now you're crossing the line. When people cross the line, they get angry, upset. This is my property. This is my room. This is my place. The earth gave to us freely, without any conditions. But we make these borders, these boundaries between each other, these walls between each other. visible and invisible. We want to make really, really big walls. Anybody crosses those, we either fight, there's wars, there's court cases, we get jealous of what other people have got, we get angry because they're in our side, or we don't let us go into their side. Do you see these boundaries in the air? We have boundaries in the air, in the ocean. But birds, I don't know if they have passport control. Once you cross the line, you need your visa for doves and pigeons. So, this discriminatory mind causes so many problems. You've even been to places, I've been to places in, it's not important which countries, but I speak to people and they say, wow, but that country we hate. I really dislike them. I dislike them so much, I'm going to teach my children to dislike them. And I'm going to teach my children's children to dislike them. They can perpetuate this unhappiness, this hatred, this discrimination. You treat me badly, I treat you badly. You treat me badly, I treat you badly. It just perpetuates. When is there ever resolved? How does this anger resolve things? Rather practice love and kindness and understanding. Maybe it takes longer, but you can really get resolution from this. So many of these people, I've asked them as well, I've said before, well, have you met any of these people from these other countries? No. But I know they like this. Haven't even met people. Judging them, causing separation, discrimination, anger, hatred. So this is also what we call ignorance. Causing suffering when there's no need. Even sometimes there's discrimination between religions. People fight about their ideals, causes of fascism. People kill for religion sometimes, for their belief. I think this is also very sad. All of those beliefs, they talk about love and kindness. And it's so important. It's also a foundation of their practices, of their beliefs as well. So sometimes I get a little bit confused where this discrimination and anger and hatred towards each other becomes greater than the love and kindness towards each other. For instance, before there was Buddha, before there was Jesus, there were no Buddhists, there were no Christians. So where did the Christians come from? Where did the Buddhists come from? From non-Buddhists, from non-Christians. If they could only come from Christians and Buddhists, there wouldn't be any today. Because all of their students, all the followers came from people that weren't followers before. So it shows that they had love and kindness for all of those that weren't Buddhists and weren't Christians. What was the essence of Buddha? To love all sentient beings. What was the essence of Jesus? To love all sentient beings, to take on the sins of all beings. That's what I really believe. The essence of it was love, kindness. So when I see that there's discrimination between religions, I think sometimes it's quite sad. Love and kindness should be the foundation of everything. Even those people without religion. Love and kindness is so important. We've all benefited from it in many different ways. We are so often looking at what's wrong, we forget how much cooperation, how much love and kindness does happen between people. So today, verse number 11, continuing with bodhicitta, which is the practice of the bodhisattvas, one of the 37 practices over here, or 2 verses of the 37 practices. In fact, it's all to do with bodhicitta. The practice of all bodhisattvas is to make genuine exchange of one's own happiness and well-being for all suffering of others. Since all misery comes from seeking happiness for oneself alone, whilst perfect Buddhahood is born from the wish for others' good. As we said last week, Shantideva, all happiness in this world comes from wishing the happiness of others, and all suffering of this world comes for wishing for the happiness of oneself. Every one of us wants to be happy. This is what's the same between all of us. None of us wants to suffer. But we think, if I keep this, if I hold on to this, it's going to make me happy. It's going to make... Sometimes it doesn't. It causes a lot of unhappiness. It's natural for us to do this. It's natural for us to be concerned, so concerned for ourselves, because we've practiced it for so long. It just arises very naturally. But all it does, when we're so centered on ourselves, it causes fear, suspicion, mistrust, unhappiness, anger, jealousy, pride. So we start to put in this new software, as we spoke about. Download a new program. Stop this habit and practice. Transforming it again and again and again. Transforming, cherishing others, putting their happiness before ours, or treating them equally to us. Doesn't mean that we neglect ourselves. In fact, we are being kinder to ourselves. It doesn't mean that we become a doormat. Of course, if it's truly going to benefit others, then be a doormat. It's fine. But if it's not going to benefit others, why be a doormat? Make that your purpose. I'm going to benefit others. And if being a doormat is not going to help this purpose, don't be a doormat. There's no need. Sometimes you can say no. Sometimes no is very good. Just like for children. Sometimes by saying no, you give them structure, they learn, they have resilience. They know they can try something else then. It also helps them, because if they carry on this habit, later on it might cause them a lot of suffering and more difficult for them to change. So they learn some discipline. Discipline's a good thing also. So it's okay to be stern, to say no. Just be careful how you do it. If it's full of loving kindness, wonderful. People can be stern with you. People can be very forward with you. If they do it with love and kindness, it's okay. Generally it's okay. But if you do it with a lot of anger or resentment, then it maybe causes problems, unhappiness. Maybe it hurts others. It's important to be healthy, to have a healthy body, have a healthy mind. And that way we can help others. If we don't have good health, how do we go out and help others? It's much more difficult. If we don't have a healthy mind, how do we teach other people to have a healthy mind? So it's important that we start with ourselves. Slowly, gradually we transform ourselves. By doing that, we become more and more able to benefit others. Our scope is better, our skill is better, our ability is better. But our motivation, our intention must still be not for ourselves, but for the benefit of others. So, but to be able to do it, we have to be able to have the tools to be able to do it. And those tools are transforming our own mind. Realize, give rise to perfect wisdom, perfect compassion. Remember, they're inseparable. Return to our true nature of mind. This is the most positive energy. This is maybe what you might call the universal energy. Don't be scared to face problems. If sometimes you need to withdraw, like if somebody comes running after you with a knife, you don't have to just stand there. If somebody comes running with a knife, You can run away, come back and face it another day. Look at the situation. Sometimes we need to step back. And when we're able to, come back and face it again. But if we avoid it, it comes back again and again and again. If you face it, often problems just become, or just the face of wisdom, opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow. And when you grow and you pass through that, if it happens again, you deal with it much easier, much more comfortably, much more quickly. Everybody has problems. We all have problems, just different types of problems, different place, different extent, different severity. So it's very important to keep our mind open. Hope for the best. Expect the worst. Anything, really, anything can happen. It's like we make plans. Be careful of putting things off. Put things off, what happens? Tomorrow is free. Beware of this, tomorrow is free. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, suddenly there's this phone call, there's this demand. Somebody needs that, and they need it now. And then that free time tomorrow, gone. Suddenly you're sitting up at night, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. If only I had done that yesterday. Every one of us has experienced this. Don't put things off. Do them when you can. You don't know what tomorrow's bringing. Those people that promised this or that, suddenly they're not there. As Rinpoche says sometimes, people come before him and they say, "I offer you my body, speech and mind." Rinpoche, wonderful, wonderful. 2 days later, they're nowhere to be found. So we aspire and aspire again. We change our mindset. We practice. 1, treat others as if they were our mothers. Repay this great kindness. Develop to a state of equanimity. That we can come to a state of appreciating everybody. First, not hating or disliking anybody, and then really wishing with joy for the joy of others. Celebrating in the happiness of others. Having great love and kindness towards others and really wishing for them to be free of suffering. And to really aspire again and again, and then it becomes more and more natural, more and more easy. And practice Tonglen. Exchanging yourself with others. Really put yourself in the shoes of others. If you're looking at a problem, your point of view, what is their point of view? Try put yourself into the shoes of others. It's not easy, but if you can do this, it creates much greater understanding, much better, easier way to work out, to resolve the problem. So practice Tonglen. Tonglen is we visualize taking on the suffering of others, giving them all our happiness. And we say that we can't take the suffering on ourselves of others. I've heard stories that actually some can. But in this practice it's not going to happen to us. We don't have that state or that realization. So when I started I was really worried. Oh, if I practice this, if I breathe in all the suffering of others, I'm going to suffer so much. So I started very slowly, but I found I was waiting, breathing in the suffering of others, maybe just a few people to start with, never mind, for all beings. And waited. He said, headache coming. What's going to happen to my body? Wait until the next morning, but no headache came. My body didn't change. Maybe it got a bit bigger. My chest stunk, more down into my stomach maybe. So don't worry, it's not going to create you all sorts of great suffering. So the practice is to visualize that you breathe in as a dark or a black smoke or a grey smoke. You visualize this grey smoke and you breathe it in. And it represents all the suffering. So imagine you're pulling off all of the suffering from all sentient beings. And this grey smoke, and you breathe it in. Breathe it in really, really deep. And imagine as you breathe it in, it dissolves all of your self-grasping, all of this ego, all of this I, ignorance. And then when you breathe out, you breathe out light, the 5 colors of the rainbow. Red, and yellow, and green, and blue, and white. And it's love and kindness, and it goes into all sentient beings. All your happiness, and you give it to them. And they're filled with joy and happiness. Breathing in, taking all their suffering. Dissolving. The grey smoke dissolves your ego. You breathe out, rainbow, 5 colors. Love and kindness, and absorbed into all sentient beings. Practice like this 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, whenever you can. Again, it's like the aspiration, more and more. Your mind becomes used to the idea of taking on the suffering of others. And I've been in teachings where people have asked, they say, can people take the suffering of others? And yes, actually yes. I often say no, because Buddha says, I teach you, but you have to practice. But there are stories of great masters taking the suffering on of others. There was one, I forget his name, in India, when he was teaching, and some bystander took a stone and threw it at a dog, and it hit the dog in the ribs, and the master fell to the ground. And everybody thought, this is a little bit excessive. What's he doing? And they went and they had a look, and in the exact place where the dog had been hit by the stone, by this rock, there was a bruise on the master's chest. So very interestingly, this seems far away, and sometimes we maybe think, really? Apparently it was also done by His Holiness Lama Achuk Rinpoche. There is in his biography, or it's written somewhere, that there was once that somebody was bitten by a snake, and it was a poisonous snake, and they were bitten in the leg. And they didn't know what to do, and they ran to Lama Achuk Rinpoche. They asked him, what can we do? This person's been bitten in the leg by a poisonous snake. And he said, okay, go and recite these healing mantras. And he gave them a whole lot of healing mantras to recite. And they recited these healing mantras for a long time. It was the same day, but there didn't seem to be any change, so they went to him. They went back to him and he said, it's not helping this person's leg. Is there anything else we can do? And he just said, okay, let me see what I can do. And he left them. And the next morning, when this person woke up that had been bitten by the snake, the wound had gone. My leg was fine as it was before the snake bite. And that was amazing. And they went to go and tell Lama Achuk Rinpoche of this incredible event. And when they got there, his leg was swollen. And there were marks where the snake bite was, exactly in the same place as where the other person was bitten. So through this, we really see that on a physical level, I'm not too sure, on an afflictive level, that actually these great masters can do this. It's quite incredible. Anyway, this, in your practice, I sincerely doubt it's going to cause you any pain or suffering, or this is going to happen, especially as we're doing it for all sentient beings. And if it does, far better practitioner than myself. It hasn't happened to me yet. And if you can do that, wouldn't that be so incredible? Really, practice in action, bodhicitta in action. In the beginning, it might be difficult. to visualize for everybody. So start with 1 or 2 people, those people close to you. And gradually expand it to your friends. It's much easier to do it first for the people who you already have an affection for, that you really care for. And expand it, and then to neutral people, and then to all your enemies as well. Try and visualize all sentient beings, but gradually expand it. Otherwise, sometimes if you try it too hard or too many, then you think this is too difficult. And then sometimes we feel disillusioned and give up. So start small and expand and become bigger and bigger and bigger. More and more sentient beings. And again, this practice, do it as often as you can. And do it joyfully. The more we do the practice joyfully, the easier and easier it becomes, and the more enthusiastic we are to do it. And often, make that prayer to yourself. For as long as I live, may I never so much as hurt a hair on the head of another sentient being. And may I do whatever I can to benefit them. Let's dedicate the merits. First, in the greatest of gratitude, to Rinpoche, to His Holiness Lama Achuk Rinpoche, Trugarik Rinpoche, all the lineage masters, all our perfect teachers. Because due to them, we witness the practice of bodhicitta. We know about bodhicitta, and we can practice it ourselves. And that by these merits may all attain omniscience. Having defeated the enemies of wrongdoing and the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness and death, may all beings be liberated from the ocean of samsara.